Hello and welcome. We're gonna be going over 5 hands basically from today's session. We have a cut of open button call and we're faced with a decision in the big blind. So we can play this two ways. We can call or we can squeeze. Given that the cutoff, I know this is a small sample size, but I mean it's already pretty wide. It's a small open. I think we want to lean more towards squeezes because people just aren't four betting enough. When they four bet, they have like queens, kings, aces, ace, king, and all the rest of their hands are either calling or folding. Um, and the button, when they call the cut of open, it's gonna be pretty weak. We're never gonna, if this guy folds, this guy's very likely to be folding. So we basically just have to get through one person. And I decide, to go with a squeeze. I'm obviously not doing this 100% of the time, but I'm doing this quite often, way more often than you would think. Cutoff does call. As I said, people are not forbidden enough. I think his calling range is going to be like pocket pairs, suited connectors, ace queen, ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, maybe, some suited broadways, but and then suited connectors, right? And pocket pairs. Button does fold, which is a bit surprising. And we flop an ace. So ace 5-5, our range is gonna be like weak ace x suited, strong ace x, decent pocket pairs like kings, queens, jacks, king queen, and queen jack. His range, is gonna contain some aces, but not that many. It could be that he has like ace 5, ace 4, ace 3, and ace deuce suited as well. As no ace 10, ace jack, ace queen suited. And the suited connectors. So the question obviously is here, what do I want to do? And my strategy at this moment is just to c-bet range. Because if he has an ace, he has an ace. I'm not gonna check fold kings here. So I might as well just bet it small. And when we bet it small and he calls with like pocket pairs, we're still getting value from it, right? And then, we're gonna get a showdown. So we do bet small and he does call. Now the call basically means he has either, a flush draw, a pocket pair, he might even hit ace 5, but like his king queen, his queen jack type hands, those tend to fold out, like his suited connectors that, don't really do much. But he's gonna be calling pretty wide here on these type of boards, people just love calling. The queen is actually a really bad card for me. Now it doesn't matter because ace queen already had me beat, but like it completes a lot of flushes, and I just do not have a flush here on this card. I mean, ace x suited is blocked, queen x like my king queen and my queen jack suited is blocked. I do not have suited connectors. Like I don't really think I'm doing this with king jack suited that often, so that's like the only one I have. So this is a pretty bad card. And obviously aces and queens do get there. Like they're full houses, so I do have full houses, but like range wise this is a really bad card for me. If he happened to have a weak ace, I'm now splitting with it. If I had a weak ace and he had a strong ace, I'm now splitting with it. So in that sense it's good, but in general this is a pretty bad card for me. So I do want to proceed with caution. Even if I have like aces and I bet here, like is it really gaining much more value? No, right? It's better to check with it, because he might make a mistake with tens. Like let's say if eights to jacks, right, on this board, and a queen comes, is he really gonna call another bet if I bet with aces? No. But if I do it and he has a flush, is he gonna call me with aces? With a flush? Yeah. But when I check, he's gonna bet the flush anyway, and he might, bet with a pocket pair somehow. Obviously, he has flushes. I think I just want to play bluff catch here. I have to split up my range here. I can't just bet entire range again, so I have to split up my range here. But does it really make sense to be splitting it up? Like if I'm betting aces and queens, am I really happy with my checking range then? Probably not. So I just want to protect my checking range and check here. So I'm checking range, he checks behind. When he checks behind, he generally tends to say he has some kind of showdown value. He could have an ace. He could have a weak queen x. He could have a pocket pair. But he's basically saying he doesn't have flush. He could slow play a flush. If he has like king jack, king 10 suited, jack 10 suited, I would definitely be checking. If he realizes that I never have a flush here, when he holds the king of diamonds or the jack of diamonds, I mean, it's pretty good for him. On the tree, it doesn't really change much. No way anyone has pocket threes. I'm still going to play the same game. I'm going to be checking. And this might be a mistake, because when he checks the turn, he has already eliminated a lot of his diamonds. The question obviously becomes, is he checking an ace back? And which value is there to be gained from betting, right? So if I bet, is he going to make more calling mistakes than he is when I check? I'm going to make more betting mistakes. And it's a good question. It's pretty hard to answer. I don't think people are going to fold an ace if I do bet. Plus, I'm splitting with a bunch of aces. So if I bet this exact hand, I'm not going to get called by worse. But with my range, can I actually have a bluff here? I mean, I have to turn kings and jacks into a bluff, which I'm not really a fan of. And those are basically, like, jacks are my weakest hand that I have here. So my range is super strong. He can't just go nuts and bluff here. But the question, of course, is, do I want to bet myself? Maybe I do. Maybe I need to bet here, and then, this is a mistake on my end that I check here. I do check and it does bet half pot. I mean, I'm not folding an ace where we're splitting it a bunch of the time against a half pot bet. And he actually shows down tens. I'm surprised he has tens here, or shows it down. Or turns it into a bluff. I think this is an adjustment he makes against Population. Population would likely just bet any ace they have. And he's trying to target the queen, jacks, and kings. And he's basically turning his hand to a bluff, which I really like. I think it's a really nice play for him to be doing against Population. And if he's capable of doing that, then yeah, my check is obviously fine. The question obviously is Population really doing this? Are they realizing that tens here has to be a bluff? I'm not sure. He does. It's a really good combo as well. Having a diamond doesn't really matter. And it blocks ace 10, which, ace 10 suited, which is some part of my range. Not that much though. And it does fold out better, like jacks, kings, queen jack, I might fold here. So yeah, I like his line. Here we have ace 10, we open, and we get a call from the big blind, so pretty wide ranges. Flop is, pretty okay. He does have maybe some more fives than us, because he does have 5-7 suited, for example, king 5 suited. We do have king 5 suited as well, but maybe queen 5 suited. He has some more fives, but not that much. Top of range, aces and jacks, still wider advantage than he has with the fives. Maybe he doesn't even have tens. So we're gonna go with the range bet here, just to exploit, even protect, like when we have like a hand like sixes and stuff. We want to fold out overcards, right? So we do want to bet here, and he raises us. So this is in general a pretty standard line on this type of boards. We see bet range, and they tend to have to raise us about 15% of the time here, which is way more than you would imagine. But it's just because we are c-betting our entire range that it needs to be attacked, But population-wise, I do think they are mainly raising 5x here and flush draws. They are not, and maybe some like strong 10x, right? But they are not doing this balanced enough. We do block strong 10x. We block ace 5 suited. We block 10s if he ever has that. I mean, I'm not folding this hand on a non-diamond run out. So we call, and he bets big. I'm not a fan of his sizing. He is basically saying we never have a 5, which is total bullshit. We're calling with, every hand that we continue. We do not have a 3-bet range on the flop. So we're not capped. We do have kings, we do have 10s. We do even have pocket 5s. We have ace 5 suited, we have 6-5 suited, we have 5-4 suited. King 5 suited, we just got a full house. His king 5 suited just got blocked a bit more. And he's never doing this with the king. If he turns a king here, let's say king queen of diamonds, king jack of diamonds, stuff like that. Is he really betting this size? No, he isn't. So I don't like his sizing. I think it's either he needs to go way bigger with his really strong hands, but I mean doesn't really make sense theoretical wise, or he goes for a bit smaller sizing and his hand makes more sense. So I'm not actually scared of the king here. Definitely calling. Then our river he checks to us, and the question now becomes, do you want to value bet? King 10 now has his beat, which is one of the likely hands he could have. We can get value from like Queen 10, Jack 10, 5, 6, no, just got reduced in combos as well, so it's unlikely. If he has like 6, 7 of diamonds, he might call us down, but that's like the only hand. And then Jack 10, Queen 10. I mean, it's really thin to be value betting here. It's already a pretty big pot. What do I do if I get check raised? And what do I have as bluff, right? It's pretty hard for me to be bluffing here. Maybe I turn weaker 10x into a bluff. But what do I want him to fold out? No, I just don't see it. Like, I have spade hands, but I like queen jack of spades. That's the only bluff hand that I have. Because ace jack. So ace jack of spades, jack 9 of spades, queen jack of spades. Basically a bunch of spade hands that got a gut shot and or an open ender on the turn. But then ace jack, already has a lot of showdown equity against his bluffs, so it doesn't really make sense to turn that into a bluff. So I just don't see which hands I would turn into a bluff here. Maybe a hand like sevens, blocking his 7-5. But then, 7 still has showdown. Like, is he folding a 10 here? Is he check folding a 10? I don't think so. I just don't think I have to go for 10 here. I'm going to bet 10s, kings, really strong 5x. And then be bluffing with, some other hands. But I want to be really polarized. I don't think I can just go for value here. He shows me a bluff, pretty standard there. Here again, we have hijack open, button call. Small blind call is a fish. If I look at this stats, this guy is opening pretty wide. Okay, it's a small sample size. This guy is calling way too wide, by the way. This is a 14k sample size. He's not 3-betting enough and calling way too wide. I mean, this is an opportune spot to squeeze because this guy's range is, way too wide. This guy, is also a bit too wide. And this is a fish, so even if these two calls and this guy calls, this two fold and this guy calls, we're happy with it. Like, we isolate the fish and we're in position. So we go for the squeeze. Again, 5x sizing, this time a bit bigger because, we want basically to isolate this guy. And the hijack calls. We're not that happy with it. Obviously, we want to fold with this type of hand. But if it calls, it calls. Flop. We still have ace, king, kings, and aces advantage on this. He does have 9s and 8s, which I do not. But the king in general is really good for my range, right? So which hands now are weaker for me? My jacks, my queens, my queen jack, basically. I don't really think I have jack 10, so my queen jack is a gut shot. My queens and my jacks are still pretty fine. It blocks like this king x type hands. And if you're betting them, we can bluff with it, right? Because the rest of the range is so compact here. Now we could have like ace jack, ace queen as well. So yeah, maybe I do want to create a chicken range here. I did decide to go for a small bet, but maybe this is a mistake. If I have like ace jack type hands and suited aces, low ones, I think I want to go for a checking here. I did go for a bet, which in hindsight might be a mistake. And he does call again. On the turn, I don't think there's much value to be gained again. He can definitely have 9s, 8s. But you know, our range. Let's say we even range. I basically said I'm range betting flop with that sizing. We want to be, you know, splitting it here if we are doing it. But then, are we really happy? Let's say we have aces and we bet and he calls us again. Are we really happy with it? No, right? Like ace king, if he calls us, are we really happy with it? Again, no. Um, the deuce, I mean, it does give us some equity, but not that much. If we bet these type of hands now, we're folding out worse a lot, and we're, you know, getting called by better. And better, I mean nines, eights. He could call us with like a weaker king, but we're blocking that. He could call us with like Jack 10, Jack 10 of diamonds. But I mean, he's gonna bet that anyway. So it goes check, check. Again, he's basically saying he has showdown. If he has nines, if he has eights, he's gonna bet it. If he has like a king, queen, he's likely gonna bet it. If he has Jack 10 of diamonds, he's gonna bet it. So when the 5 of diamonds comes, I'm actually not scared. It's very unlikely he has a flush. It's very unlikely he has a set. I very likely just have the best hands. The question now becomes, what hands does he have? How do I want to bet? I think my bluffs here would be, you know, the queen jack hands that has a diamond. Although I do think that's a bit irrelevant. But I mean, queen jack and ace jack, I think, are my best bluffs here. I don't really have 10x that often. But the reason I would bluff those hands is basically to fold out 10s and jacks. But that's about it, right? That's the only hands I can target as a bluff. Now value, obviously I have aces, kings. So I have way more value than bluffs here, than potential bluffs. Maybe if I turn like a hand like ace 3 and ace 4 into a bluff. But it's really hard for me to do so. Like, I think I'm gonna have a check give up range and check with like a bunch of kings, like pocket kings exactly. But yeah, I do think this hand maybe needs to go in check call range. If I have a checking range, this is like the best hand to check call with. Yeah. So sizing wise, I do go 2/3 pots here. Maybe if I have like a checking range. I have kings in my checking range at a frequency. I don't have king jack. And I think I have to protect as well with king queen. I'd actually think like king queen without the diamonds is better as a check. Because let's say he has like a pocket pair or like queen jack itself with I never had it offsuit, so having the diamond is actually relevant. Yeah, maybe I'm just exploitative here. I'll have to look into this. He does call, he shows down 10s. Pretty weird call. I don't think he wants a bluff catcher. We open queen jack suited and the guy 3-bets us. Now, first of all, this sizing is pretty big. But this guy has been, you know, 3-betting pretty wide. I have him tagged as an aggro regular. You know, I have 1k hands on him. I can't see his stats for some reason in this 3-player. But he has been 3-betting a lot. He's basically playing small blind 3-bet or fold. Like against in the open, he's playing 3-bet or fold. Very often, which is fine, you know, at these stakes. It's fine. And even at higher stakes, but yeah. Because of that, though, I'm not folding a connected Broadway in position. And, you know, we flop pretty well. He does have advantage of ace king, but this is a board he has to be pretty scared of. He has a bunch of like ace x type hands though. But he goes for a small sizing, which I'm not convinced about. Are you really happy if you have aces or kings here? No, you're not. If you have ace queen, are you really happy? Nope. Are you really happy if you have like 10 jack? Nope. So I think he has to play more of a checking range, and then when he's betting, he has to go bigger, especially out of position. So this bet, I mean, this is basically just something that's drilled into this guy's head, like c-bet small with entire range, and he's gonna do it on any board apparently. So yeah, I'm gonna call this hand for sure for this price, and we get a really ugly turn. Let's say he's c-betting range and he has like ace 10 suited. he's gonna, barrel this. His flush draws, which is like ace x suited, got there. His kings and his aces, if he is like over c betting him, now beat me. So I'm not really that happy with his hand. But then he goes for this awkward sizing again. Like, he needs to split up his range here and go bigger. Like, it makes no sense to go this sizing. You go 3/4 pots or bigger, not 2/3. And this, I looked into the guy's stats. He had a pretty high barrel frequency. Given that he 3-bets wide, he's just gonna barrel without any regard. If you check out his notes, you can see that he has a lot of them already. But you can see that, he's doing things a bit wide. His 3-bet range, it's going to be 6s, Jack-9 suited, 10-9 suited, stuff like that. Against steals, he's really wide. He calls pretty wide with draws. He plays his draws pretty aggressive multiple times. Like, I'm not folding this hand. I block Jack-10, I block queens, I block jacks. If he has me beat, I do still have an out. And then we get this really ugly river. Now this might look ugly in the first spot, but I mean, it's not gonna change much. If he had us beat on the turn, he's still gonna have us beat on the river. Like, unless he has like ace queen with the ace of spades. He didn't river us. Like, ace king with the ace of spades already was there. So it's basically ace queen with the ace of spades, maybe ace jack with the ace of spades, but that's about it, right? Those are the only hands that suddenly improved. Like, ace 5 of spades already was there. Ace 4 is now no longer a possibility. So this card, like, while on first front it's like really ugly, it's actually a good card. Why? People are not bluffing this. I will not see anyone bluffing this river. Like, if he bets this, I'm snap following with so many hands. He's just not bluffing it. He checks. I mean, I have marginal showdown. I have no clue what is going to show up here, but I do want the information. Can I turn this hand into a bluff? I'm not sure. I do check, and he shows down 6s. So as I said, this guy's just way too aggro. Might just be clicking buttons at this point because I have no clue. I do like that he turns 6 into a bluff. It's probably one of his weaker hands. I do think he wants like 6s with the 6 of spades though. I think 6s without the 6 of spades is worse. If he has 6s with the 6 of spades, he blocks my ace 6 of spades. If he has this river with 6 of spades, he wins the hands, right? So yeah, I'm not a fan of doing it with this combo. Especially on the turn, you're just drawing that if I call. So yeah, I think this is not really that great for him. I think on this board he should just check range and then check fold his hand. And then the last hand, we 3-bet ace queen from the small blind. Again, we tend to have a 3-bet or fold. Sizing wise, I think it's a bit too big. But yeah, I think it's fine in general, but I think it's a bit too big. He does call, and on this type of board, I mean, he has 6s, 4s, and 3s, which I do not really have. I have ace-king type hands, which dumb down my range. I have queens plus, which, kind of evens out, but I think in general, out of position, I want to, create a checking range, and I'm just going to check a range here. I check. He checks behind, which I'm really surprised with, so he's basically saying he has like a pocket pair. Turn is a 5. I don't think it's really going to make a lot of difference unless he has like ace deuce. But like, if he has ace 5 suited, he probably would have bet it on the flop. If he had diamond draws, probably would have bet it on the flop. So I obviously have not flushes here, given that, I'm playing check flop range. Am I betting here? Yeah, I think I am. I'm gonna get value with like high pocket pairs at some frequency. But in general, these type of boards, still favor him a bit. So I check, he bets. I'm not folding ace queen yet though, it's a pretty good hand to have. And then on the 4, he's on the overbets. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard for me to do much about this. I mean, I do have some flushes. I do have ace 4 suited, but I mean, ace queen of hearts even. It's like the worst combo to call here. So yeah, this seems like an easy fold. Which I do, obviously. So those are the hands I want to go over. I did spot a few mistakes from myself when I went over this. Hope you guys learned from it.